Look at you, Johnny Company, USA,
right.
man, over there.
Represent.
USA.
Olympics
Got
promo
the got the hockey jersey on. I actually do like it. It's pretty cool. Yo, what's up? It's Monday morning, February 23rd. USA wins the gold in hockey thanks to Connor wearing the jersey. That was good luck. That's the total reason they won it and no other reason. I don't want to hear anything else from anybody else, all right? But what's up, everybody? Good to be back. Connor, how you doing, man? I know you're at home. I'm here in the studio. But we had a freaking blizzard here today, and it was a little tough getting here, I'll tell you that much.
Look at you, man. I'm impressed. The fact that
you should
made it PFT, the podcast, I got up and looked outside, and boy, it was like, this is going to be a long cleanup. They didn't even do the roads yet. We're stuck here. We're going to get to the combine. We just don't know when. So that's a bummer right now, Chris, but we're going to have an awesome show today. And the next show after this one, people will see us in Indy.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we got to figure that out. It is crazy snowstorm. Like, I hate doing Zoom, right? It's kind of one of my pet peeves. You've heard me rant about it before. I like being in the studio. I feel more professional. I feel like I don't have things going on around my house that are distracting me, dogs, whatever else going on, right? So, and I hate the delay we have on Zoom at times. It hurts the conversation when we're both on that, right? So I was determined. Like last night, I was like, I'm going into the office tomorrow. And we had a snowstorm AFC, NFC Championship Sunday, and I drove a little around that night and was like, it wasn't that bad. Like, it'll be okay. The main roads were okay. So I kind of thought that's what would happen this time. I woke up this time, all right, no lie, like took a shower. I looked out the window because I can see one of the main roads, right, from one of the windows in my house. And I was like, whoa, did they plow the road? Like, whoa, I like no sign of it. Like easily 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow. If they did plow it, they plowed it like midnight last night and then didn't do anything again until whatever, right? So the first thing was just getting to my car. Getting to my car with my yogurt in my bag and my coffee in my hand and basically doing a high knee drill. I mean, a high knee drill, right? And I was like, I got to my car and I was like, because you don't want to fall. I got my clothes, my boots on, and it was work. But, man, the drive, Connor, it was real. It was one of the harder drives I ever had to make. And I left an hour before the show. I got here in it took about 48 minutes for me to get here. So, but I made it happen.
I took the dog out at 6, and when we got like to the road, it was the snowplows build a barrier.
Yeah,
and she just looked at me like, "What am I supposed to do?" And I was like, "You better jump and slide. Like, if you want to go for this walk." And she did. So it's that kind of storm here, which really stinks right now for our travel for the combine. But we'll get through it and figure it out, and we're gonna leave everybody prepared going into it.
Damn,
right now.
there you are. There it is.
Right there, the old Forrest Gump. It's time for a showdown. You and me versus God right now, apparently, to get to the NFL Combine. 3 flight cancellations. We are going to preview the Combine for today's show, but before we do that, we got the Homies Choice Awards results. Shout out to everybody that voted, and shout out to everybody watching right now. I'll get to plenty of comments if people want to weigh in on the Combine, on the Homies Choice Awards. But before we do any of that, Chris, some off-season burning questions. Whoa. Kind of like our bird's eye view of the offseason going into it, what everybody's wondering what's going to happen from free agency through the draft and onward throughout summer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's hit it all here. But even before that, before you just get right to it and use me like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. How was your week off? What'd you do? What's going on? Like, I know you want to get right to business here, but what did you do last week? Because I did have a little time off, and it was quite enjoyable.
In the classic way of me, I did absolutely nothing on our week off but get ready for the NFL Combine, because we're going to have, I think, almost 50 players stop by the set that I'm on. You guys are going to have a ton of people, so started kind of hammering down on those interviews. It's kind of hard to go anywhere at the moment right now. So, it was one of those situations where I've been hanging out. I have full transparency for everybody, and this is one of the first places I could say this out loud. I have a pregnant wife at home, so we haven't been having anything too crazy or too fun right now, which is really exciting and a different kind of fun. But I think you did something a little bit more exciting than just spending the week at home.
Well, staycations are always good. They are relaxing. I hear you. I mean, I went on vacation, and because I went on vacation, I need a vacation from my vacation because, you know, when you have limited time off, I got to make the most of it every day, right? And I did go down to Miami, had a lot of fun down there.
Oh, that's the place.
Yeah, I mean, the weather was awesome, but, you know, you're out on the beach all day, you're in the sun, you're in the water, you know, then it's 5 o'clock, 5:30, okay, it's drinky, smoky time, let's get that going. So you know me, I kind of pushed the envelope on both ends too much, too hard, started slowly down the draft wormhole a little bit. I know I'm nowhere near you. I'm just trying to get a feel for some of the star players in the draft. Just to go through that. But here's one thing I'll hit on before we get into our offseason burning questions. Man, football is more popular than ever. And I know I'm not like breaking news to anybody, but I said this to Florio at PFT. On the beach in Miami, people playing football everywhere you turn. I've been going to South Florida for a long time. I feel like you might see one football and then you'd see two or three soccer balls on the beach. Like, very few soccer balls. Incredible. And I stayed at a hotel that was very international. I mean, Spanish, right? You know, you got French people from London, all of that. All those kids had footballs. Those parents, some of them didn't even know who I was, right? But, football, it's so great. I mean, gosh, Americans, they see a football and just random men say, hey, throw me the ball. And
that's the culture.
Right? It is. It's the culture. But to me, it blew me away being in South Florida, too, because here's another thing that I just found amazing, right? And this is where, like, you want to tie it into Bad Bunny and what the NFL sees and all that stuff, too, right? I was at the beach every day. Me and my wife sat there at the beach, and we watched, like, you know, non-English speaking, right, Spanish people, for the most part, play football every day. Like 7-on-7, like 2 linemen blocking and 2 pass rushers with a quarterback and then the people going out. And a team waiting to play the winner, like every day. So you just saw all of that everywhere. I was blown away with it. Like, me and my wife, we couldn't stop talking about just the sport has exploded in its popularity. And it's an example like that where you see it and you go, oh, my gosh, it's starting to really catch on across the whole country, the whole world.
I totally agree with you. You and I, obviously, growing up in the tri-state area, it's a little different culture where you can go out for the day in your neighborhood and stop house to house and kids would play pickup football.
Right.
But that's you know, I'm sure it's like that in California and Texas and the tri-state area and throughout the Midwest. But like you said, to see that in Southern Florida, I think there's a couple things. I think one, not just the fact that this helps a lot, though, the international aspect of the NFL. The NFL making it all these global games where you do have people overseas. Obviously, they love football across Europe, but now it's bigger than that. We're going to have a game in Australia this year, which is really, really wild. And then the second thing, Chris, that I know people have mixed opinions on, but I think it's good for the growth of the youth game, both male and female. Flag.
Definitely.
Flag is more popular than ever.
No doubt about it.
You can be 6 years old. You could start playing flag football. You don't need to afford pads and a helmet, so the programs are easier to start, and it's a co-ed situation. So I think that it's multifaceted why the sport's blowing up, and I think in 5 years it's going to be even crazier.
I think it is. I had these conversations. I had a conversation with a couple from France, and I think to your point there too, right? They had young kids from France, but they liked football, and they were having a catch every day. Right. And I think as the rest of the world is learning the rules of football, the game's starting to resonate. As we know, the game's hard. If you don't know the rules, I don't give a damn where you're from. America, Antarctica, whatever. It's hard to freaking tell what the hell's going on out there. But I do think the world's starting to figure it out, and they're starting to realize, I think, how tactical the game is. And I think that's what's catching on. It's very cool. I didn't mean to change the subject, but, you know, congratulations to you in the future, baby, and congratulations to me for needing a vacation from my vacation.
Well, you've known for a while, so it's not as exciting exciting to you? Just to put in perspective, the greatest thing that Chris could say to me was, after I tell him, you're such a good friend and everything, but time had settled, and you go, are you really going to make him a Jets fan? And I was like, I don't know. We're going to see. It might be a choose your own adventure situation for this little guy. So ultimately, we will see. But thanks, man. I appreciate it. And now, with that being said, our off-season burning questions. Do you want me to kick this off, or do you have one that's top of mind that you can't wait to get out?
Oh, well, I think the one at the top of mind is the most obvious one there is. So I just figured that we would both be here, and that's Maxx Crosby to me. That's the biggest thing going on here in the next month or 2 weeks, or maybe leading up to the draft in general. But it's just rare when we get in this type of situation where it feels like, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's real. If I were Maxx Crosby, I don't think I'd want to be a part of the Las Vegas Raiders right now. We're getting close to 30 years old. He's, hasn't played on very many good football teams at all, except for maybe 1 year, the year they went to the playoffs and lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Other than that, he hasn't even been close to being successful. And there's some teams out there who are damn good, who need pass rushers, whether it be the Bears or the Patriots or whatever, that you go, ooh, this makes a lot of sense. And also, if I'm the Raiders, I'm sitting there going, we have a whole plethora of problems. And Maxx Crosby, trading him, right, and with his contract being done, think we could get a haul back for him and really help build our team for the future. Because right now, we're nowhere near close to being ready to compete in the AFC West type of football team. So that to me is by far the biggest thing going on in the sport right now, where I'm really intrigued by what the hell is going to happen there.
I am too, because number one, the demand for him should be through the roof.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons. We know the kind of player he is. We know that he's right in the prime of his career at 28 years old, 29. And the contract, by all standards of edge rushers right now, Chris, is great.
That's what I'm saying, right?
If he doesn't, and this will be interesting to see how his agency plays this, demand a redone deal with the trade, this is a really friendly contract to trade for. Number one, after this year, and you're trading for him this year, so this doesn't matter, the 3 years after this year, 2027 to 2029, it's pay as you go. There's not guaranteed money in it. So God forbid anything happens, the team is totally protected. Yeah. His cap number is below $30 million throughout those 3 years when you have edge rushers of his caliber getting 40 plus.
Right.
So this is affordable, and then it kind of makes you wonder, well, if the Raiders are trying to turn this thing around, why would they trade him? But you have to wonder here, Chris, how fractured is this organizational relationship with him? Because he's a guy, I wouldn't want to wait 1 or 2 years to be good again.
No, that's right. I think he's at that. I think that's where it's a little different. It's why you heard Jay Glazer talk about it a little bit the Super Bowl week, where he thought Maxx Crosby wanted out of the Raiders. So, I understand that. But, yes, that's the other part of this, right? I know people look at it and go, wait, Micah Parsons, that trade and all that, this one's different. You might be able to get more from Maxx Crosby because of that contract like you're talking about. You don't have to go, $47 million or something more. And, to your point, and I think this thought is out there in the NFL, that he might ask for new money or some sort of new contract if he does get traded. I'm going to bet, knowing him a little bit, not that I'm texting with him or anything, but just knowing the human, and I've been around him a few times in life now, where I'm going to go, if he really wants out there, he's not going to ask for more money. He's going to just want to get to a spot to know, hey, I can be successful here. We can be successful here. And then if he puts a year or two together where it's like, oh, wow, it's unbelievable, everything's going the right way, then maybe he asks for a new contract. But I would think he is going to be the belle of the ball, especially because we know what he is in the locker room, his work ethic, the way he plays on the field, 100 miles per hour. All those type of teams are going to want that type of guy, to set the culture for their defense. And that's where Maxx Crosby is probably the number one offseason burning question for me right now.
Brian S. in the chat said the Bears make the most sense. What do you think of that, Chris?
I think the Bears do make a lot of sense. I certainly look at that and go, the Bears are pretty set up as a football team, right? When you and I discuss them, you look at the offense, you go, there's not much there, okay? They're pretty set up. O-line, running backs, receivers, they got it all. Okay. Defensively, yeah, maybe they could use another guy in the secondary, but I don't know if it's really like that, desperate. Maybe a safety because those guys are getting a little older. But damn, we see their corners are still pretty good. So that one makes sense to me. It definitely does. And then, you see Maxx Crosby on having Caleb Williams on his podcast and waxing poetically about him and all of that, and him basically letting us know that, like, Caleb Williams is one of those guys. He's him. He's himmy. He's himish, right? To where you go, oh, he might like playing for him. So, yeah, that's one I look at I think makes a lot of sense for the Bears and for the Raiders. And on top of that, because this was another one of my things, but a little different, DJ Moore. I look at this to go, you might be able to trade him to the Raiders. Right? And do that. The Raiders need a receiver. They need something for Fernando Mendoza, who we expect to be there at number 1 and be the Raiders quarterback. And the Bears have receivers. They don't need DJ Moore. So they can maybe make that happen as well. When you have a Dunze and Luther Burden and Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, like, you're not desperate to have DJ Moore. And I think that adds another little wrinkle to that Bears Maxx Crosby situation.
So we're talking about how exciting it is for other teams to add Maxx Crosby. Chris, do you think it makes sense for the Raiders right now to trade him? Because this is probably the high point of trading him, right?
It's tough because I am from the school of thought, like, you don't trade away your best players, right? Yeah. But at the same time, we're here where I just go, I don't see this team turning the corner this year, especially. And, maybe, 2 years from now where we can go, hey, they'll be a pain in the butt that year. They'll be a pain in the butt. I'm not going to pick them in the playoffs, but they'll be a pain in the butt. Like, does Maxx Crosby really want to be a part of that? I don't think so. And I went on to say for the Raiders, if they want to speed up the whole process there, then, it'd be something that I would seriously think about, even though, I'm usually in the camp of, don't give away your best players.
Chelsea Stu said, hey, Chris, it's Stuart. Sat here in rainy Warrington, UK. Love listening to you and Connor. Makes the days go quicker. What are the 2 top things my Raiders have to do this offseason?
Well, I think you're talking about the quarterback. We know that. That's a given, okay? I think there's that. But then there's just another offensive playmaker like we've talked about, right? I mean, when we talked about them on offense last year, a little bit Ashton Genty at the end of the year, so that was good, right? And then it was like, hey, if Brock Bowers isn't healthy, who the hell are they going to throw the ball to? Who? Somebody? Anybody? Right? So I think that's where I look at number 1. I mean, quarterback, we know that. But the next one is another offensive playmaker, specifically wide receiver, right? And then you can get into defense, and you can go a whole lot of different routes there, right? I mean, if they do trade Maxx Crosby, you're going to need another pass rusher, but they need another defensive lineman in general anyways. I still would probably look at that to go, when we talk about the best D-lines in football, they usually have 2, maybe 3 guys that you go, ooh, wow. And the Raiders, it just feels like, hey, we got Maxx Crosby. But, it's that, man, the O-line is up there in that conversation as well. So to the point here, the Raiders got a lot of shit they got to worry about. Sorry about that, to our guy over in London.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I would say that it feels like this team needs at least one addition to the offensive line that's a true road grader for Kubiak's run game. Like, hey, we can run behind this guy, establish the run to build off the play action. I don't know who on their offensive line right now you could feel confident brings that.
No, I think I would totally agree with that assessment right there. And then you got Clint Kubiak, who wants to run the ball like Shanahan and do that. I think as we sit here and talk about it more, I go, receiver and lineman are what they really need. And that was a good question by Chelsea Stu over there in the UK. What up there, big man?
All right, Chris, how about this one? Big picture.
Yeah.
What team can pull a 2025 Patriots? And what I mean by that is not make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
Who finished in the bottom 10 of this year's NFL season and can legitimately do enough through free agency, the draft, a new coaching staff is a qualifier here as well, to kind of flip things into, hey, let's make the playoffs and let's see if we can win a game or 2.
Yeah, it's a weird year because in the bottom we have teams like Am I allowed to pick the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
He
right.
Been banned for like 2 or 3 years. Like the Commanders shouldn't qualify here.
Yeah, okay, right. No, I hear what you're saying, and I'm just having fun there. But, yeah, that would be the obvious one. I think the one, though, that I look at, and I've been pretty steady with this, right? And this is, I know, going to come off as a little bit of, like, hometown bias, but I really think the New York Giants could be that team. I do. I think you've heard me say that. One, I do think there's always something to the new coach energy bump an organization gets, right? We see that all the time. Harbaugh's certainly capable of that. And then as we talked about, in the hiring process of Harbaugh too, there's some staples of the Giants football team where you go, damn, like they got some things there where you go, what? Like we got 3 pass rushers. We got Dexter Lawrence. We got Malik Neighbors. We got Wan'Dale Robinson, right? We got a franchise left tackle. We got a superstar quarterback. Right, so I look at all those things and go, the Giants with the new coaching staff, and some of the young players and the nucleus we have there. Yeah, I'm not Super Bowl, but if you're going to pick one of those teams at the bottom of the list right now, top 10 in the draft, top 5 in the draft, I think the Giants are going to be one of those teams that could sneak into the playoffs or at least be a real pain in the ass late in the season.
How about the Saints, Chris?
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to go with this one. Finish the year strong. Think they love their quarterback and Tyler Shuck. The offensive line is starting to come together.
Definitely.
Probably want to add a running back this offseason. We'll see what they do at 8. Are they going to be a Jeremiah Love team? Are they going to be a receiver team? Now, they don't have the cap space, which is always the problem for this. But I thought they looked good at the end of last year. I think Kellen Moore surprised a lot of people. I think the coaching staff surprised a lot of people. And the belief in the quarterback. And here's the last one, Chris. Are you really that afraid of this division?
No,
is there
you're
that
right.
Giant wall? Like the Giants, it's very easy, like you said, to talk yourself into them turning it around. Winning the division might be tough because it's a hard division.
Right.
I don't feel that way for the Saints. I look at it and go, man, the Saints get a couple things right. They can win that division next year.
I hear you. I think it's a good call by you, man. The quarterback, the O-line is really the thing. I think you're right about that. Their O-line has a chance to be like, whoa, they can impose their physical will on anybody. They need a difference maker probably in the front 7 on the defensive side of the ball, right? But they got some guys there. They got some young secondary talent. I hear you with the Saints, and you're right. That division, there's nobody that just stands out to where you think, oh, they're going to dominate or blow everybody else away. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. All right, here's my next one for you. It's not breaking news here, but where does Malik Willis end up? Where does Malik Willis? That to me it's maybe my favorite story of the offseason. Because again, Malik Willis, it's not Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, but it was a little bit like, oh, he's too raw coming out of college, and oh, he's too raw at Tennessee with the Titans, and I see a little talent there. And then he gets into a place that's really into quarterback play and the offense, and LaFleur knows how to coach him and groom him a little bit, and all of a sudden you go, holy shit. I mean, is he a superstar maybe? He might be a superstar. I mean, I think you, just like me, we had thoughts of watching him in some of those games going, damn, I mean, he's doing some special stuff. Like, that ball is flying through the air. His running is special that way. So, yeah, where does he end up? That's the big one to me. Would a team like the Jets do that? I don't know, right? Would they be scared because they had a quarterback in similar theory to Justin Fields like that who didn't work out, where I want to go, this guy is better than Justin Fields and a way better passer, right?
Right. Different league throwing
Different
the ball.
league. Exactly right. The Miami Dolphins. It's Jeff Hafley, right? They're new GMs from Green Bay, too. So that's one that you look at that, too. So, yeah, where does he end up? What does he get offered? How much money does he end up making at the end of the day? But I am definitely like one where Malik Willis could be, diamond in the haystack for a football team here in the offseason.
I love this one because it's got mystery. We know the Raiders are taking Mendoza. That makes the number 1 pick not very fun. It makes sense. The Raiders should take Fernando Mendoza number 1. No one's denying that. There's just no theater to it. Now all the theater's at the number 2 overall pick in a draft that doesn't have quarterbacks. Free agency, we have no idea where Malik Willis is going to go. And I share your excitement for him because he showed the things filling in as a starter for Green Bay that made him a potential first-round pick. Now, he fell in the draft. Right. But when I evaluated him, I was like fringe first rounder.
I hear
he can go at the end of round 1. He can go at the top of day 2, and he didn't. And everybody early on kind of wrote him off. But like you said, a different developmental scenery. And now Malik Willis is going to get a chance to start, whether it's the Jets, the Dolphins, Arizona.
Arizona is the one that I would say watch out for too, right? It's Mike LaFleur. He's heard all these good stories from his brother up in Green Bay, going, damn, Malik Willis. So that would be another one. You're right. But, would the Steelers do it? I don't know. But we know there's teams out there, and I think that he, to your point and my point, and I think we're on the same page here, is this is not just a bridge quarterback. I don't look at it like that. This is a guy that you might sign to good money, but not franchise quarterback money, and he might end up being the franchise quarterback that you dream about getting. And that's what's amazing about this. He does have superstar talent, to your point and my point, and we'll see where it goes. But, yeah, it's interesting to see what will happen there.
Another one for me, Chris.
Yeah.
Who pushes all their chips in to win a Super Bowl now? We've seen the Rams kind of follow this model. Now, credit to the Rams. It feels like they could do this multiple years. But you go out and get Devontae Adams because you think you can win a Super Bowl, right? That's what kind of the line of thinking there. Who is going to be that team this year that says, God, we are so close, we'll mortgage future capital or future cash? I would think the Bills have to be feeling that.
Yeah.
Like, Josh Allen's not going to play for 30 more years. At some point, you got to do everything you can and not say, hey, our draft picks are going to develop. So I'd put the Bills in that bracket. Do you have a different team?
Well, the Bills are definitely in that bracket. If you had to make me pick another team, I'd go, I think the Chicago Bears are about to be in that bracket. That's why we talked about the Maxx Crosby thing, right? I think they're going to look at it and go, wait, we're kind of good. We need like one or two sizzle players here, and we're at the top of the NFC. So I can look at them and see that. The other one is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos having all the money they're going to have available to them and finally being off the books and not having to worry about Russell Wilson or anything like that. I look at that situation and go, yeah, as close as they were, and they didn't really have a difference maker on the offensive side of the ball, I think this is a year they would probably go all in here too. So those are two that jump out to me, and I'm with you on your Buffalo thing. And I wouldn't be shocked to see the Chargers do something like that too, right? There's some teams here, that are very close, and you look at it and you go, man, it's not crazy to think this team could be in the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. They just need to fix this one little position or this one player, and I think that's definitely a few of the teams we're talking about right there.
I like the Chargers call out because, and I don't know if teams think like this. You would know more than me. If they have a great year, Mike McDaniel's gone again. He's going to get another head coaching job. So you need to operate in a way of like, hey, we think we got a guy that's going to orchestrate our offense to a ceiling we have not reached yet. But if that happens, there's a good chance he's gone after this. So we got to floor it here.
100%. And that's the risk you take when you get a Mike McDaniel, definitely. But yeah, there could be a lot of reward off that risk too. And I think that's they need that kind of jolt on the offensive side of the ball, and we'll see where it goes. As we've talked about with them, it feels like they're an offense that needs to get a little faster, and Mike McDaniel's pretty good at finding those guys, a.k.a. trading for Tyreek Hill or drafting Devon Achane or whoever, right? He's got an eye from Shanahan and figuring that out. So that'll be an interesting part of their offseason process to see what they do there to get faster.
By the way, for your Broncos call out, how good does this feel if you're them? The Broncos only carry $1.2 million in dead money this year.
Is that incredible?
$1.2 million in dead money. They have almost $25 million of effective cap space before making any contract adjustments, any differences at all. So that number will balloon. But they have a ton of cap space, and they are finally not carrying any dead money, basically.
That's amazing. And it's one of the interesting things about this year. I mean, we all, you expect teams like the Raiders and the Titans to have money to spend. We know that. But I think the interesting thing about this offseason is we have a few teams that are very good who have a lot of money. So like you talk about the Chargers. They're third in what they have available in the NFL in cap space, right? The Seattle Seahawks are sixth. They just won the Super Bowl, and they got the sixth amount of cap space, right? The Bengals, who we know if Joe Burrow could stay healthy, is a playoff football team. The Rams at 9. The Patriots at 10. The Colts at 11. Like you said, the Broncos at 14. It's rare that you see teams that are in the playoffs or really high-quality teams have this much money to spend, and that's another little interesting angle I find about the offseason.
Yeah, I do too, because these teams really have the opportunity to just basically do whatever they want going into it. All right, what's your next one here?
All right. So we kind of hit on it, and I'm gonna say this, but I'm just gonna let's just like Kyler Murray and Tua, right? What happens to those two guys? What goes on there? That's definitely something that I'm really intrigued by. But we just talked about quarterbacks and Malik Willis, and we can dive into that some other time. I think, a better one. How about the running back market? The running back market is something that I think is pretty fascinating. One, I think we're in a transition in the NFL where, we're seeing teams are getting back to the running of the football. The two teams in the Super Bowl, they were run-first football teams, right? We've seen the 49ers in the Super Bowl. They were kind of a run-first football team. The Eagles, they were a run-first football team. So that's there again. We know that. And how are these guys going to be valued? One, you got guys like Breece Hall and I think Kenneth Walker, who I would think about franchising. I would, just because you don't, guys that score touchdowns from 80 yards away don't grow on trees, right? So I would think about it. But on top of the bigger subject of the running back market, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, they should not play a down of football until they are paid. And they're the type of guys where you go, we always go like, hey, this guy's the top and nobody should pass him. Well, these are guys that you can go, I could justify them being more than Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey, right? And just what would that number be? What will it be? Bijan Robinson's arguably the best offensive player in football. He's up in that conversation. Jahmyr Gibbs is arguably the most explosive player in all of football. He's up in that conversation. What kind of money do they demand? That, along with some of the free agents out there, to me is also another one that I got my eye on here.
Man, it feels like we're finally going to get into the legit 20s per year with these guys. Yeah, number one, the cap just balloons every single year. That totally changes the market, even for the lesser valued positions like safety and running back. You have Saquon and McCaffrey at the top. I would say the term on those deals might not be crazy. I don't think those guys get 3 to 4 years of guaranteed money.
Exactly right.
But they'll get a lot of money in the short term. That's for dang sure.
Definitely.
I think you're looking at the 20s. And like you said, I agree with your Kenneth Walker take. I think the Jets are going to transition tag Breece Hall. That's about $11.2 to $3 million, which you go 1 year deal, 11.2 for a starting running back. Sure, if you're Seattle, the money you just said, and one of the biggest fabric pieces of your team there, I would do whatever I needed to keep Kenneth Walker for another year.
I think so, too. And then you have Zach Charbonnet, who's injured, and he's not going to be the same for the first half of the year. Your game and your offense is orchestrated around the run game, right? And, again, that's where, some of these running backs are worth the value to me. Again, when you're a guy that can score from anywhere, anytime, any place, to me, that changes the game a little bit. And we're talking about two guys there that I think are capable of doing that. And like you said, it's 1 year. It's 1 year, and then you can figure it out. But I think the reward of keeping them for 1 year for maybe paying them a little more than you want to, rather than the risk and just go, well, I hope we get that guy in the draft. I hope we find him, because that's just been the thing. We find him in the draft. And it's like, yeah, okay, we'll see. I can definitely point out some teams who've been saying that, and they didn't find Jack Diddley shit in the draft, just so you know, right? So we'll see where that goes. But, yeah, I would think about it with the Kenneth Walker. The transition tag's interesting, right? Just with Breece Hall at 11-2, what I'd be worried about with the Jets is somebody swooping in and making them a better deal, and then they get nothing in the compensatory picks off of that because of the transition tag.
You have to match it.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you got to match it. Right. So there's a part of me there that wants to go, why not just franchise him and take that away altogether? What, just to save $3 million for a guy that's arguably the most explosive player on your offense?
It's a really good point. And here's a little secret that not a lot of people have said yet, and I think they'll notice. This is not a great running back draft. Don't be fooled because it has a great player at the top in Jeremiah Love. And I really like Jadarian Price and Jonah Coleman on day 2, but it's not 7 guys are going to go on day 2 and 5 of them are going to start. It's not that kind of running back draft. So if teams are catching up to that, I'd rather dive into the pro market and grab one of these guys by a mile and kick that can down the road in the draft, or take a day 3 dart and see what happens. But you're right. I think a very, very popular miscalculation of the public is you find running backs everywhere. When you go through the top running backs in the league, that's not true. Where was Jahmyr Gibbs drafted? Where was Bijan Robinson drafted?
Christian McCaffrey, right?
Saquon Barkley,
right?
It's not, even if you get into the guys that turned into gems from day 2. Okay, a day 2 pick is still
Derrick Henry in the second, right? Okay,
right. This thought though that 5th round running backs turn into diamonds all the time it doesn't live in reality.
No, it doesn't. We cherry pick and use the one guy or the 2 guys, and we go, see, you can find them then. You can do it then. And it's like, okay, that's your one, out of 20 there that have found that type of guy there. So, yeah, these are special players. And, I was going to make this a thing anyways, but let's just add it on to it. The draft, the running back, all of that. I know I've heard you say this. Jeremiah Love's one of the top players in the draft, but he's at a position that's devalued by the NFL. I wouldn't change. I wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter to me.
Right.
If you want to change around your football team, arguably the quickest way to do it in the sport is get a game-changing running back. Now, I know there's going to be some outliers out there. People are going to go, well, the Giants drafted Saquon Barkley. Okay, yeah, they did a horrible job of ever getting an offensive line and being able him to even show you what he's got, right? But there's a lot of other ones out there that have worked out, quite frankly, and worked out with great success. You named a bunch of them. So that's where I look at Jeremiah Love. I'm almost sitting there right now going, I hope the Giants take Jeremiah Love at number 5. I am. But that team with Malik and Wandell and Jackson Dart and him at running back, good luck. Have fun with that. That'll be real. And here's another one I'm going to throw on you here, because I've watched some of the top players, but you brought up the name. I'm gonna say there's a chance Jadarian Price goes at the end of the first round. Right?
I think you're on it. Yep.
When I watched Jadarian Price, and I didn't sit there and study everything, but I certainly came away watching Jadarian Price last week when I was sitting in Miami a little bit, and I have no problem saying this. I'm going to say this out loud. He is definitely better than Omarion Hampton. That's not a question. And Omarion Hampton went, pick 23 to the Chargers? And if you just tell me off of college tape who's better, it's Jadarian Price. So I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up being drafted at the end of the first round, again, because of what we're talking about. And he's a guy that can score anytime, anywhere. And he can play all 3 downs and catch and pass protect and do all that too. Would not be shocked in a draft that it sounds like there's not a ton of elite talent in this draft.
I don't think you're nuts at all. He's averaged 6 yards per carry each of the last 2 seasons, and he has everything. Whether it's, number one, I thought he was one of the best zone runners I watched in college all year, because the breakaway speed was real.
Yeah.
He's great after contact because he's big and strong.
Right.
He's got big shoulders and big arms. You brought it up. The thing teams have to project, they have to project 2 things. One, what will he do when he's actually thrown the ball? Because Notre Dame didn't throw him the ball. But what makes you feel good about it is he's a high effort, low center of gravity pass protector.
Definitely.
So you can put him on the field to at least try. And the second thing is get the fumble rate down when he has more touches. The last thing too, Chris, with the new kickoff return rules, I think he could be the best kick returner in the NFL.
Agreed.
Best in the NFL.
Right.
He was that good at it in college.
Hey, he went through a stretch during the college football season that you and I laughed about in the viewing room, where he touched the ball 14 times and scored 9 touchdowns on those 14. And it wasn't like it was the 1 yard line. It was 40 yards out, 60 yards out, 20 yards out. Kick return for 90. It was whoa, the last 13 or 14 times he's touched it, 9 of them or 10 of them were touchdowns. So, again, there's great value in that. And it's interesting conversation right now with the running back, the NFL, the market, who's available in free agency, and some of these guys and what the money is they're going to make.
My last one here, Chris, that Eagles fans, I get it. They don't want to hear it, but we're not going to stop talking about it until they put it to bed. Will a team trade for A.J. Brown?
Yeah, I hear you. I do. And I would think so. Right. And I'm glad you did that because I got that. I'm with you there too. Right. It's the whole A.J. Brown, which I would expect him to be traded. DJ Moore, like we talked about. Hey, they have enough weapons. They don't need to be paying DJ Moore. You can only allocate so much money and so many resources to certain things. How much damn pass catchers can you have, right?
Right.
DJ Moore up there with that one. Of course, you already brought up the George Pickens situation and what happens there. Tyreek Hill and who signs him. Alec Pierce, who I think the public's sleeping on for another guy that I think are like, people are going to be a little shocked when they're like, whoa, Alec Pierce got that much money? And it's like, yeah, nobody runs by people deep down the field more than Alec Pierce. Like, it's crazy.
You think it's 30? You think he gets to 30 a year?
I'm going to say it's real close to it. I mean,
me too. Like
real
28,
close.
27.
Yeah, right. Somewhere right there. But yeah, your A.J. Brown point, that is the big one. And who will trade for him? And would a team like, the Patriots with Vrabel, we know he liked A.J. Brown. I don't know. But I do think his days in Philly are done. I do think that.
All right, we're going to take our first break. We're going to be covering these topics literally all offseason, and we kind of can't wait to see how they develop. But when we're back, the Homies Choice Award winners are announced. You voted. We got the answers right after this. All right, before we get to the Homies Choice Awards, Chris, we had a couple more in the break that we were like, yeah, we can't close this show without addressing some of them. I like that you brought up the Vikings quarterback situation.
Right. I mean, I feel like we got to just throw this out there to the homies a little bit just because I think they're big. Yeah, what do they do there? What kind of guy do they bring in there to compete with J.J. McCarthy? Is it really going to be a threat or is it just going to be a real good backup? What's it going to be? The Jets quarterback situation. I know, yeah, what are they going to do? Is it going to be, bridge quarterback? Is it going to be bridge quarterback in draft? Is it going to be sign Malik Willis and maybe make him the guy?
Go for it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, that situation. What does he do there? But does he go back to Pittsburgh? Again, Arizona. Did he end up going to a place like that? I think those are another big one. JSN. What kind of contract does he get? Is he going to get more than Jamar Chase? I would probably say so. So, yeah, those are ones that I just thought I had to bring them up. And then just one on the defensive side, Devin Lloyd and Quay Walker. To me, freak show middle linebackers that I don't think are quite getting the attention that they deserve, where they're going to break the bank. They're going to break the bank. And I don't know if the teams that they're currently with are going to be able to sign them. So where do they end up? But I just had to feel like I had to throw those out there to finish off the list just to make sure I got it off my chest here on Monday, February 23rd.
Free agency gets a bad rap these days, but I do think this one has some fascinating storylines where, like, Tyler Linderbaum might make it to free agency. How often do you see that? You brought up Devin Lloyd. How often does a off-ball linebacker of his caliber make it to free agency? I'm fascinated to see the stare down and if those guys really get to test the market when it opens up.
Definitely. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is going to be a free agent. That was another one on my list. Like, holy crap. Like, when does that happen? It's crazy. You're right. So I think we got a few more things this offseason in free agency, especially with what we talked about. Teams needing quarterback, Maxx Crosby, the running back situation, the Tua Kyler Murray situation. I do think it's actually a different free agency, and there's a little bit more meat and potatoes to your point than we usually have here.
All right, let's get to the Homies Choice Awards. Of course, a reminder, you voted on these, you, the homies. And the twist on these awards is that they do include the playoffs.
This is funny.
You don't have to be like Chris and make your votes for MVP before the playoffs, although you nailed it, Chris. Good for you. The MVP, and this was a runaway for the Homies Choice Awards, Matthew Stafford got 78% of the votes. The runners-up with a small margin were Myles Garrett, Josh Allen, and Drake May actually is fourth here, Chris.
It's amazing. I would love to have seen what the homies would have voted on before the playoffs started. Yeah. But again, to our point and some of the things we talked about after the Super Bowl, right? And, you know, it's something I tried to harp on in the week of the game. Like, it did not get enough credit. The guy that was one vote away from being the MVP had a historically bad playoffs. Right? And I wish I got to say it more in the pregame show. I was dying to. I got to say it in the first segment, but I never really got to talk about quarterbacks the rest of the game, so rest of the show. But yeah, that to me was the story. But he kind of got a free pass because the Boston media mafia, New England, they didn't want to hear it. Oh, the defenses he's playing were really good. So it's like you weren't allowed to talk about that in the lead up to the Super Bowl. And so that to me, and then again, like we talked about, to get to the Super Bowl and go to the fourth quarter of the game and go, damn, the guy that was one vote away from being the MVP made one throw in the first three quarters of the Super Bowl. One. Crazy. All right? So crazy. I am sit here at that one and literally go, I would be embarrassed if I voted for Drake May for the MVP. I thought it was the easiest vote ever. Like the easiest one ever. So there's that. Sorry.
No, I like it. Fortunately, you weren't one of those. And thank God you weren't, because in the AP vote, Matthew Stafford beat him out by one vote, as you said. So your vote did matter a lot, Chris.
Yeah, good. I'm glad it did. If my vote's the one that got it over, thank you for Chris having sanity and bringing everybody back there. Because like I said, I feel like the New England Mafia hijacked this. They found little, look at this stat. In the third quarter when the sundial's pointing northwest, he's the best quarterback that's ever been on the planet. Like they were just finding stuff. Like it was crazy. So, yeah, he's awesome. We know that, but he wasn't the MVP. You like that one, huh?
Sundial Analytics is definitely – somebody's going to make that into a company, and it's going to sell for a lot of money one day. Offensive Player of the Year, this was much different than our MVP vote because this was tight. And I think this is a surprise. Christian McCaffrey wins the vote with 35%. The runners-up were Jackson Smith and Jigba at 31%, Puka Nacua at 20%, Bijan Robinson got 11%. In the actual AP vote, of course, JSN beat out McCaffrey by 2 first-place votes, but not in ours, where the playoffs did count for something, and the vote was a little bit more spread thin.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by this one. McCaffrey was awesome. We certainly know that, but I don't know if I feel like his year was worthy or in the same class as JSN or Bijan Robinson, right? That's where I look at it. McCaffrey's stats were out of like almost necessity, right? It was like, hey, we got nobody else. Shanahan's going to design 9 out of every 10 plays to give you the ball and make sure you do it, right? So it was more of like, to me, a little bit more quantity than quality. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful because I know the damn quality was really good. It's just that, man, Bijan and JSN had some weeks where I just went, that was next level type of stuff.
The Defensive Player of the Year, no surprise here, Myles Garrett got 90% of the votes. Fair enough. When you break the sack record, that should count for something. It is cool to see Will Anderson get 8% of the votes, although this was the most lopsided vote from the homies here, Chris, because it's Myles Garrett and he had a historic year.
Right. It's a slam dunk there. I mean, it's good to see the homies, giving Myles Garrett some vote in the MVP. That's where he should have been. Right. He should. I made him, I think, my 4th guy on the MVP. And you know me, I made Michael Parsons my 5th guy because there wasn't, to me, a ton of MVP caliber guys there, and Micah Parsons is still, as we saw, that defense and team fell apart once he got hurt. But yeah, Myles Garrett all the way. I hear that.
The offensive rookie of the year, I thought this one was pretty cool because it ended up being much different than the actual AP vote. The homies voted for Jackson Dart at 31%, which I've said before he would have been my vote if I had one. The runner-up, Tetero McMillan, 27%. Gray Zabel, 18%. The homies know
I like it. I like it.
That. Giving the offensive lineman a shout-out. Well done by the homies. Tyler Shuck, 14%. In the actual vote, Tetero McMillan won 41 of the 50 first-place votes, while Dart finished fourth. So there's a big disparity with our voting here and the actual award vote.
Yeah, I'm digging the homies, though. And the homies sound a little biased to what we talk about maybe more than not. But I second you in that the Jackson Dart did not get enough credit for the rookie offensive player of the year. You know, like we kind of said, I think after the Super Bowl or during Super Bowl week, I think we talked about it. I can't remember what the hell it was. But regardless, it was like we went through like 6 or 7 weeks where Jackson Dart was like the biggest story in the sport. And then it's like the season fell apart and the coach got fired and everyone just went, oh, wait, who plays quarterback for the Giants? But, yeah, good to see he's getting some love here.
The defensive rookie of the year, how about Nick Emanwari with 53% of the votes? Carson Schlesinger, who, of course, won the real award with 40 of the 51st place votes, got 35% in ours. Xavier Watts getting some love with 7%. But Nick Emanwari, because the playoffs count, Chris, comes out on top here. I think that's justified.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it. You know, Schlesinger was my pick. He'd still be my pick even after the playoffs. Right. But Emanwari is, he's an alien. He's an alien. And to be that guy, right? Freak of nature, can play in the box like a linebacker, can run like a nickel corner, do whatever there. He gives defensive problems. He's the guy that kind of takes that thing over the top there. So, yeah, I'm certainly not mad at the homies for making him the defensive rookie of the year.
Coach of the year, when you count playoffs, this matters a lot. Mike McDonald won, but he won at 48% of the votes here, Chris. The runners-up, Kyle Shanahan, Shanomite, 24% of the votes. Mike Vrabel, 18%. Ben Johnson with 6%. We love ourselves some Ben Johnson on this show. On the actual AP vote, Vrabel beat out Liam Cohn by 3 first-place votes. So our order of operations here much different.
Yeah, it is. To me, it was one of the hardest years ever with Coach of the Year. I wouldn't have been mad if any of these guys won it. I didn't realize that Vrabel barely beat out Liam Cohn. It's funny that Liam Cohn got more than Ben Johnson.
I did the same thing.
Right?
How do you draw the line of why he was the runner-up?
Right, exactly right. That's what I'm surprised by. And again, where you want to go, okay, well, yeah, I know there was questions about Trevor Lawrence, but there was a lot of questions about Caleb Williams too. I mean, right? I mean, there was a lot of that. So, yeah, that's a little surprising to me, but I'm not surprised Mike McDonald won it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this is the one award that should not be decided until the playoffs are over?
Yeah, I actually probably do. I do.
I think it matters.
Yeah, right. I mean, coaching is a big part of that. Right, yeah.
Winning playoff games is part of being coach of the year. Kyle Shanahan beating that Eagles team should factor into the vote.
I just hope it doesn't. The only thing you get scared of is you go, oh my gosh, and it's a hard one to draw the line here, but you just hope that the guy that wins the Super Bowl doesn't always get coach of the year.
That's a fair point.
Right? That's what you worry about, that everybody just gets biased towards that, where you're like, I don't know about that. He had a good year, but just because he won the Super Bowl, now we're going to say he's coach of the year, right? That's where I guess you got to think about it a little bit. That's a tough spot.
All right, now we get into some of our Chris Sims Unbuttoned specific awards here. The Robin Hood Underrated Player of the Year, and this was a nail-biter, but it goes to Zach Allen at 27%. Marcus Jones got 22% of the votes. Jordan Brooks, Tuli Tuipulotu, Aaron Brewer, all in that 11 to 13%, and then Kalen Bullock, who I know you love in that Houston secondary, Chris, with 9%. So this one, a tight race where everybody got some love.
Yeah, I mean, they're ballers here. I mean, Marcus Jones he was my second team All-Pro nickel corner. Jordan Brooks was second team, middle linebacker. It might have been my first team. I can't even remember now. It's been so long. Kalen Bullock, yeah, that. But, I mean, the rest of these guys, Brewer, Thule, Zach Allen, damn, I can't argue with those results right there. It's a damn good group. I'm glad to see the homies like and understand Robin Hood, for sure.
The damn okay quarterback game of the year. The Sam Darnold NFC Championship game gets 33% of the votes. Understandably so. Biggest game of Darnold's career at that point until the Super Bowl. 346 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Didn't throw a pick against the Rams. The runner-up was Josh Allen in Week 11 against the Bucs. Matthew Stafford against Seattle in Week 16. Trevor Lawrence lighting up the Jets in Week 15, and then Stafford in the NFC Championship game across from Darnold.
Yeah, good list here. I mean, Allen against Tampa Bay was insane. I think he had a few turnovers in that game too, but it was insane. Stafford being on the list twice, again, the MVP against one of the best defenses we've ever seen. Yeah, okay, there we go. Where's that analytics on the sundial if there are for you right there? But the Darnold, I think when you talk about the magnitude, the pressure on a guy, and it's like, I think we were all still like, I don't know. Can Sam Darnold really play good in the NFC Championship game? I don't really know. I got to see it to believe it. And then not only did he do it, but every time their backs were against the wall, he answered, right? They're down. They come right down and score and go back up. They got a chance to throw, go up by more after the fumbled punt return. Boom, he hits the touchdown. I mean, he made a lot of big plays and a lot of big moments. So I'm with everybody there on that one.
The damn okay offensive game of the year, of course, this is for a non-quarterback. How about Jonathan Taylor, Week 10, across the pond against Atlanta, 48% of the votes. He had 244 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. He walked it off in overtime. This was a pretty big gap here. Puka Nacua was the runner-up at 24% in his nuclear Week 16 against Seattle. Bijan Robinson against the Bills in Week 6, Kenneth Walker in the Super Bowl, and Rico Dowdle against Dallas. I thought this was a loaded field, Chris, but that was a pretty majestic performance by Taylor, considering it was an overseas game and it went to overtime.
Yeah, it was. It was a loaded field. You're right about that. I mean, gosh, I even think like Bijan Robinson at the end of the year versus the Rams game. That was incredible. Right?
Yeah.
But that Jonathan Taylor at that point was going through such a streak where we thought he was going to be the MVP, and it was just incredible the yardage output he was responsible for their team. That was amazing. So yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, damn, there was some big plays. They don't win that game without Jonathan Taylor.
Our last one, the damn okay defensive game of the year, went to Myles Garrett, Week 8 at New England. He had 5 sacks. The runners-up, though, speaking of New England, how about Christian Gonzalez in the Super Bowl against Seattle? He was probably the only reason that game didn't get out of hand earlier. He was amazing. He got 22% of the votes. And the Isaiah Rodgers Week 3 game against the Bengals had 16%. It's like this game happened too early in the year that everybody forgot about it.
I mean, he had the interception return, the fumble return for a touchdown. Then he had another big special teams play, right? I mean, I can't even remember all of it. It was kind of like, holy crap, what a day for Isaiah Rodgers, who's a lot better than I think the public realizes, being one of the faster corners in football. That Gonzalez performance in the Super Bowl was real, right? I mean, like we talked about after the game. Gonzalez, Woodson, the safety for the Patriots, was another guy that I could put him on this list too for that game right there. But yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett, the year he had 5 sacks, in a game against a team that was in the Super Bowl, I would say that takes the cake.
And I said last award, we got a mini award here because this guy deserves it. Got to shout out Cameron Phillips, the only homie to pick the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl in our preseason predictions pool. And he was actually the only one out of 365 entries to pick either the Seahawks or the Patriots to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I like it, Cameron. Cameron, we got to send him we're sending him a sweatshirt, a swag sweatshirt. That's definitely coming his way. He deserves that. Cameron, wherever you are, try to DM us or something and let us know your address, and we'll get that to you because you deserve it, being the champion that you are.
All right, we're going to take one last break. When we're back, we're previewing the NFL Scouting Combine for when Chris and I eventually get there.
When we'll...
right, Chris, time to get into it. All the action going down out in Indy here for the NFL Scouting Combine. And, of course, we know the headline for the draft this year is going to be Fernando Mendoza going number 1. But I think what now becomes more interesting, and this happened with Cam Ward last year, like everybody just stopped talking about Cam Ward going number 1 overall and thought about what's going to happen after that, is, man, there's a lot of top blue chip defensive talent in this draft, and nobody knows how they're going to come off the board.
No, I'm interested in that, right? I mean, just digging into that, the pass rushers a little bit, seeing where that goes. We talked about the running backs, Jeremiah Love. You know, where does a Carnell Tate end up? Because, again, we know receivers have been, like, you know, growing on trees too, just like we talk about with running backs at time, right? But how good is he? And then what I want to get a feel for is there a big drop-off between him and, you know, the kid at Arizona State to where, like, their value goes up even higher to where, like, Carnell Tate, is he going to get drafted in the top 10 to 15 picks of the draft? Just because, that's where I'm intrigued to dig in here a little bit with this whole conversation.
Let me break down where the clusters are right now that people can't figure out. Cool. So you have Mendoza at 1. That's not really fun, like I said, anymore. After that, there's the cluster of defensive players. Arvell Reese, who you've seen a lot of doing our Big Ten coverage. You have David Bailey, the pass rusher from Texas Tech.
Right.
And you have Reuben Bain, the pass rusher from Miami.
Right.
That's a cluster of these front 7 kind of guys.
Yeah.
Then you have the wide receiver cluster, like you said, Carnell Tate from Ohio State, Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, and Mekhi Lemon, who you've seen a lot of from USC.
Right.
As well. Then you have, everybody knows Jeremiah Love is great at Notre Dame. Everybody knows Caleb Downs is a great safety out of Ohio State. But everybody's going, can you take a safety early? Can you take a running back early? When they're clearly maybe the 2 best players in the whole thing.
Yeah, right. And I would say yes. You know, like we just talked about, you know, these safeties right now, these good ones in the NFL. We just talked about Nick Emenwari just a few minutes ago. They can be game changers on that side of the ball. There's just so many things they can do for your defense in different situations, personnel sets. So, yeah, I wouldn't be scared of it. And like we talked about with the running back situation, I wouldn't be scared of that either. I mean, Jeremiah Love is a superstar. I mean, he was worthy of winning the Heisman this year. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Mendoza, right? But yeah, I would have no problem with taking him early on in the draft. I see it with the Saints taking him right there. I hear you. You know, I hope my Giants take him at number 5 and don't take Carnell Tate. So we'll see where that goes. Here's another thing I want to hit on. You know, one, like, it does feel the draft. I mean, it does feel like we're getting to a point here where, like, none of the top players are ever going to work out anymore. Like, that's just not going to happen. And with the combine too, right? It's like, man, I mean, coaches and GMs, are they going to even show up anymore? It's like we're kind of getting to that point here.
I don't like this.
No, well, it's gonna kill the combine. The combine is definitely not going to be as valuable or as exciting. And maybe that's where they got to figure. I know at one point they were talking about making it a traveling road show. It's not going to be that big of a show if only 3rd and 4th rounders are out there running around all the time, right? Without, you know, also your big time coaches and GMs being there and seeing them on TV and all that too. So it is a little bit of a weird thing going on right now with the NFL Combine.
So the good news is Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, as of this morning, said that Jeremiah Love, Arvell Reese, and Sonny Styles, the other great Ohio State linebacker, they are all going to participate in the drills at the Combine. So we will have them out there doing something. We don't know ultimately what that would be. What I don't like about coaches and GMs, and plenty of them will be out there, it's a matter of how long they stay out there. I don't know, Chris, why you wouldn't want to take the opportunity to get in front of all these players.
That's what I argue with you. I'm with you. Right.
Let me, from the only personal experience that I can give, and I'm doing this at a much different job than what the NFL does, because I am watching the whole draft class as a whole and ranking it to about 320 players. This process has changed for me since I started working at NBC, and I get to talk to about 30 to 50 players every single year one-on-one. It matters. It does, and I'm not saying a guy is a great interview and he's a number 1 player. But the questions you get to ask them, what they were asked to do in their defense, what this matters to them. Why did you transfer here? Why did you do that? What was the challenge in this? it's helped a hell of a lot. And I don't know why an NFL team wouldn't want to utilize that and instead go with FaceTimes, or you only get 30 private visits. It's not like you can visit the whole draft.
No,
so
I'm with you.
I don't really like that method for some teams.
I'm with you in that too. Listen, I think that the workouts are going to lose its value a little bit, and I'm surprised to hear some of those guys are doing it. I don't even know why. I would like Arvell Reese. I want to go, why? Don't do anything. Like, you're going to be
top 3.
You're going top 5, right? It doesn't matter. Like, what's the point? But also, I think there's a little like, hey, yeah, we'll do the drills. We'll work, and we'll do that. And they'll show our athleticism, but they're not going to put their name to any of the numbers, right? Running the 40 or doing any of that. It doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So, yeah, that's a little crazy. Damn, I was going to say something else but no, you're off what your point of off the look test, right? One. Right, I said this to Florio this morning. I know, just because two guys are 6'3", 250 doesn't mean they're identical. There's a difference in those guys. That's where the value of seeing them in person matters. Where, you go, yeah, that guy's 6'3", 250, but his arms are short, he was a little pudgy, and he has a low-cut waist. This guy was 6'3", 250, and his legs were 7 feet long, his arms were 7 feet long, he had a thick neck, and he had muscles popping out of his ears. And it's like, yeah, there's a difference there. And I don't know if I would have saw that on TV or in Zoom, but I saw it in person, and it popped out. And then we're in the era of NIL, and do people care? And the number one thing we talked about last year and we heard from teams, people are into character, right? That was more than ever before last year. We got to figure out the guys who love football. We got to figure that out. They got to fit our culture. And again, those are things that, to your point, in-person meeting helps out. So that's where I'm a little surprised, that so many teams and coaches and GMs don't want to be there for that experience, because I find that to be very valuable.
So another big talking point, speaking of the workouts and players not participating, is not as many guys throw at the combine. They like the structure of their pro day. They like throwing to their guys and their environment and their script. Ty Simpson, who most likely will be the second quarterback taken in this draft, not a guarantee, but most likely, will throw at the combine. Do you like that for him, Chris?
I'm surprised. I really am. And, again, as I'm in a little bit of the infancy stages here of looking at this, I there's a part of me with Ty Simpson that I'd go, no, don't throw. I think as we get here, you're going to be clearly the number 2. I think the more the real decision makers start to watch Ty Simpson, they're going to go, wait, why does everybody think he's going to last to the end of the first round? I mean, Connor, from me personally, and I'm not sure you share these same sentiments, so you don't have to jump on the back, but in college football, in about week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, I was like, Ty Simpson's the best quarterback in college football. Like, when you watch Ty Simpson's best games, and you watch some of those middle of the season games, and then you watch Fernando Mendoza, there's not that much of a difference. In fact, There's certain things that Ty Simpson does, and I go, that's better than Mendoza. I mean, Ty Simpson was asked to carry the team and move around and make plays. They had no running game. They couldn't play defense, right? So I feel like he's one here that as time goes, right, I feel like everyone's right now, he'll be on the board for Pittsburgh in the 20s. And I want to go, I don't know about that. I think as time goes here, people are going to start to go, what? He's better than that. He's going before that. That's going to be something I'll be interested to see here as we get a little farther into the evaluations.
I'm not shocked he's throwing at the combine, because something you do hear from teams that are doing a lot of work on him is that his compete level is out of this world.
Right.
It's like, I don't think they can. A lot of people don't know or aren't aware. It wasn't really publicized that much. Played with a significant injury down the stretch of the season. Was playing hurt and didn't really get any excuse making for that. It seems like every time.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. This is what I mean. They're going to dig into this and they're going to go, oh, wait, he was hurt. He was carrying the team. He was getting beat to shit. But wait, let me see what he looked like before that. Oh, shit. He might be the best quarterback in college football. He was doing crazy shit. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Throws that you heard me going, holy holy cow, what a throw, what a play, like stuff like that. And that's where I think as we get farther along here, and maybe, listen, maybe he feels like, hey, I'm going to go out there and put a show on. And he might be capable of doing that, where he just lets it rip and starts to throw balls where we all go, woo. And that starts the upward stock, movement here. But, I am surprised he's throwing. I really am. I am surprised.
Well, the spotlight will be huge for that. It's good when you have a quarterback. I remember Shuck threw last year, so there was a lot of eyes on that.
Yeah.
Like, it's good when you have one where...
Definitely.
Listen, it's weird to say the stakes are high because it's not going to dictate a guy going in the first round or not, but it does kind of raise the environment, the feeling of it, and the anticipation of it.
Yeah, I think so. And, what I think the Combine's going to become is the guys that feel like they're not quite getting the hype they deserve. I'm going to work out to start that hype up. And then the guys that are already hyped up, they're going to go, I'm hyped up. You got enough film on me. You send scouts to the school all the time. They wrote 25 reports on me. They got it. My college school gave you all the information to my tracking devices, so you know exactly how fast I run and all that type of stuff, right? So that's where we're in an era here where I don't think the stars are going to work out as much, and it's going to be more the guys that are under the radar that go, we deserve to be a star, and I'm going to show you here at the Combine this weekend. So we'll see how it all shakes out here.
The groups I think you'll love in this draft, Chris. The front seven is a ton of fun to watch. We finally got a good off-ball linebacker draft. Man, we've needed that. It feels like the off-ball linebacker is that lost blue chip player in the NFL. There's good ones.
Yeah.
But every year we don't get waves of great ones entering the league. I think this class is pretty high in that regard. The obvious, the bad side of the draft is it's not deep at quarterback, man.
Right.
It's just not. It's not ultimately top heavy or strong at the top of tight end either. And I feel like we've been pretty spoiled with the tight ends.
Right. Yeah, we really have.
This is the ebbs and flows of the draft. Like you get a couple down years and then it boosts right back up. And that's the beauty and the parity of the NFL.
Yeah. Can a Cade Klubnik, can he change his narrative? Can Nussmeier change?
Nussmeier, man.
Right. Can he change his narrative? Definitely. I mean, I hear you there. There was one more you just brought up there that I was going to piggyback off of. What did you say there? Damn it. I forgot my train of thought. I got too many damn things.
Linebacker.
Oh, the off-the-ball linebacker. That's what I want to say. I think we're seeing, again, a little transition in football where, the running game, even in college football, has become a thing. Indiana ran the freaking ball. Notre Dame runs the freaking ball. Ohio State runs the freaking ball. So Miami runs the freaking, exactly. So now you're starting to go, teams are in college again are going, we need a linebacker that can take on a pulling guard and fill a hole. Like, this is not the spread. We got to run to the screens anymore. We got to actually, it's got to be right here. So that's kind of fun to see the cycle reemerge here for off-ball linebackers.
Well, I'm excited to get there, man. Excited to sit next to you on a set again when it happens. If we do make it on time, our next show will be Wednesday for everybody out there. We hope to do a live show Wednesday. We will definitely be live Thursday at 12:30.
Yeah.
But we hope to be live on Wednesday. I think we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that happens.
Yeah, we like to. We're going to do everything other than I'm not taking some Winnebago or something to Indianapolis. All right, just to make that clear. Yeah, just make that clear. That's not happening. No way. But damn. Man word. But hopefully we can get there. And when we do get there, it's always good to see these guys and be back in person with you, man. So hope everybody enjoyed the pod. Connor, you the man. Appreciate you driving the ship as always. Everybody, you know where to find us. Connor just explained it. Subscribe, rate, review. It's that time of the year, free agency draft. You want those questions answered. You want to hear those conversations. That's what Chris Sims Unbuttoned is going to be doing. Connor Rodgers and I breaking down all things football, all offseason. All right, everybody. We'll see you from Indy. Peace out, everybody. See you. Have a good day.